Welcome back to another episode of our series on the German GmbH. This one is entitled Practical Tips and Common Pitfalls, and it will round off the series. If you like what we're doing, please feel free to like, subscribe and press the bell button so you will get updates on what we're doing in future as well. That would help us a great deal, and I'm grateful for you liking us. So, practical tips and common pitfalls. What are the things to watch out for? Right at the start, watch out that you make sure you get a good notary. The notary is the guy or the lady who will set you on track to incorporate your company. If you don't speak German, that's not necessarily a problem. Most of the notaries have good knowledge of English language. That's certainly true if you look in the big cities of Germany. But whatever you have with your notary, ultimately the official paperwork will need to be in German. You can talk about bilingual versions and that sort of thing, and bilingual drafting, but the binding version is always going to be the German one. So if you don't speak German and don't read German to a sufficient level, make sure you've got an interpreter that helps you along so you don't assign something you don't understand and subsequently find yourself in trouble you didn't want to be in. So, because you need a notary, don't procrastinate on booking the guy. The other thing that you will need, and on which you ought to start early, is opening a bank account. You need a bank account to deposit the capital that the company needs, and banks will have to run some checks on you before they can open a bank account for you, respectively for your future company. Those checks are known as Know Your Customer, KYC, or AML, anti-money laundering, and they can take some time. It may also be easier if you first open a personal bank account with your bank and then request a business bank account thereafter. If you struggle with conventional banks, maybe you want to look at a specific online bank or at a fintech. They've moved into the business of providing bank accounts for international-minded business people, where conventional banks are a bit more cautious. So there are options, but whatever you do, start doing it early, because you will need to deposit the capital before you register the company, and in order to deposit the capital, you need a bank account. The next point sounds a bit more trivial, but it's not less important. Make sure you properly label the post box and the address of your future company's seat with the company's name. German post officials regularly check the post box before they throw anything in, and if the name doesn't appear on there, the chances are that the letter will not arrive and go back to the sender. And that could be a very adverse factor, because the first couple of letters that you are likely to receive all circulate around the incorporation of the company. There could be the court's fee invoice and that sort of thing. So if they don't arrive and go back to the sender, you're off to a bad start. It's a tiny point, but it's an important point. So make sure you don't stumble at the first block. Talking about mail also brings about a firm warning about scam letters, because unfortunately when you form a GmbH, your business address becomes a matter of public knowledge, and that it goes onto the commercial register, which is public, and therefore it's easily available to scammers. And it's very common to receive official looking letters which are not actually official, sent by scammers who try to induce you into paying fees or booking services you don't actually need or want. The only legitimate initial payment you should expect are court registration fees. They are often around €150 and sent by your local court. The German term is Amtsgericht, Amtsgericht, and maybe of your local Chamber of Commerce, Industrie- und Handelskammer, abbreviated IHK. They are also normally small fees, and if you're lucky you get a 0 in the first year and just a letter for proper confirmation. If you get unexpected bills other than those, or some which suggest higher sums, be careful. Maybe it's worth running a Google check on the sender. Once you're up and running, follow the rules and the deadlines. Your GmbH will be required to file regular accounts. Make sure you file those on time, because otherwise you may either be fined or you may be summarily assessed, both of which is disadvantageous because the public bodies tend to err on the side of their caution and charge you more rather than less. Also, it may affect your credit ratings, etc., if you don't pay things on time. Second piece of advice in that context is, when it comes to paying, don't mix personal and professional company finances. The capital you put into the company is now the capital of the company, and it only serves the purposes of paying bills owed by the company. Don't pay your own bills. Next piece of advice, get professional advice when needed. There are so-called Startup Consultants, Gründungsberater, there are Steuerberater, tax advisors, and there are Rechtsanwälte, lawyers who provide legal advice. And if you get advice early, yes, you will have to spend a bit of money, but it's better to spend a bit of money early in advance rather than to have to pay big sums of money to rectify mistakes that could have easily been avoided. That is going to be more expensive no matter what. Then I will round off by giving you a few other common mistakes to avoid in brief order. A, underfunding. Don't try to just scrape along with only €12,500. If you really haven't got the funds available or in reliable sight to set up your GmbH, go with the mini GmbH managed several times throughout the series of these videos. Don't start business too early. I know you want to get going, but only enter the commercial side of your business once you've created your company. Up until that point, you remain personally liable, and that's of course exactly what you want to avoid by setting up a GmbH. So wait till your GmbH is in place and then start trading through the GmbH rather than starting early. C, don't ignore local requirements. Make sure you have your commercial registration if you need one. We'll do a separate video on commercial registration, but if you're doing trading or most other works will require some form of accreditation by the local business community, and you will have to get that in place. And D, I mentioned it before, I'm just repeating it briefly, don't neglect insurance. That will cover you and protect your company from commercial risks that are insurable, and it will protect you against insolvency by virtue of having to pay compensation that you didn't budget for. And in certain industries, insurance is probably mandatory. So this rounds off our short series on GmbH as a start to the channel. We hope you liked it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us. Our contact information forms part of the envelope to this video. Thanks for subscribing and liking us. Take care.